fears we don't face become our limits. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Sports for Champions podcast. Today I'm joined by double mini trampolinist Otis McAuliffe. How are you today, Otis?
I'm great, thanks.
Thank you for joining us. It's a real pleasure to have you here. I'd like to start, if we could, can you tell us about double mini trampoline? It's not something perhaps most people will have heard of.
No. So it's basically like two trampettes joined together, one at a slope and one flat, and you run up like it was a vault, jump onto the mount, do a skill onto the flat trampoline, and then you do another skill onto some mats.
So when you say a mount, so the track that you're running down in the beginning, is that just normal hard floor?
That's sort of like soft, spongy, thin mats or sort of thing.
So there's a slight cushion to
Yeah,
run on.
but it's not sprung or anything.
Right. And then when you're hitting that mount, how much spring is actually in that mount?
A lot, yeah. So I go pretty high. The mount's the bounciest part of it, because that needs to propel you into the air to do another skill afterwards.
Yeah. And then when you hit that final trampoline, is that a little bit less than the mount?
A little less, but you need to try and even it out. Try and make it even a bit, get a bit more higher, so you can throw another big skill.
What's kind of going through your head? Presumably, you've run the runs that you do. You've run it 1,000 times in training.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, I imagine, is muscle memory. But what, if anything, is going through your head while you're mid-run?
A lot of it is a coaching point I need to focus on, or that I haven't been doing so well. So whether it be keeping my core tight or making sure my arms are straight and up above my head perfectly. If they're slightly bent, then it can throw me off backwards, or if they're in front of me, I might not be able to get off the trampoline. Stuff like that.
What makes a good run?
It's all about being tight in the shapes, being focused, and being tight, making sure your muscles are working.
How would that look to the viewer, a good run compared to maybe sort of a sloppy run?
A good run would be nice. You go nice up and down in tight shapes and land perfectly in the middle of the landing area. As a sloppy run may go all over the place or may not even make it off the second trampoline.
Yeah, I see. And in terms of the difficulty of each pass, is there sort of big variance when you go to a competition, for example?
A lot of the time it's pretty evenly matched throughout a major competition, but you can see big variations within like a national competition.
You see. So what would be, say for example, the highest scoring runs that you get in competitions? What would be the difference between them and perhaps something that would be more entry level? There
would be a big difference. So an entry level maybe have one single somersault and a shaped jump, so maybe a tuck jump or a straddle jump, whereas the stuff you'll see at international level, it could be a triple followed by another triple, or a triple and sometimes even a quadruple somersault.
Right. How difficult is it to land that?
It's very difficult, but as long as you train it well, then it shouldn't become difficult.
Do you find there's a big difference when it comes to competition level in terms of your performance? I mean, it makes sense that the more people watching, the more pressure and little things can start to creep in, but some people enjoy it. Yeah,
I think I quite enjoy it. I like to show everyone what I can do. Because in the place we train, it's gymnasts only, parents can't watch. Right. So a lot of the time it's just about show my family what I can do, because they haven't been able to see it for ages.
Do you ever do it in the garden?
That's a different story. That's more tumbling and just playing really for me. Just flipping around.
Do you have any equipment at home?
Yeah, I've got a trampoline. We've recently moved house, so we had to get rid of it, but I used to prop it next to the garage and jump on and off the garage, and
wow.
Yeah, have fun.
Can imagine that your mum was watching through sort of class plans.
Usually I'd do it when she was out.
Fair enough. So obviously, you're still a fairly young man yourself, and I know that you started gymnastics fairly early on. Can you tell us about how you first got into that?
So originally I was just flipping around on my parents' sofa, and I think it got to the point where they had enough of me breaking furniture. They thought they'd take me to a preschool gymnastics class.
How old were you at that point?
2 or 3.
Wow.
But yeah, I instantly loved it, and then so I got into gymnastics. I was just doing floor and vault until about 8 years old, and then I discovered trampolining. I could just jump and jump and jump.
Is that your typical trampoline on a big trampoline that most people
a big trampoline,
see?
Yeah. And then I started competing that competitively, doing national competitions, and I saw the double billy trampoline, and that really caught my eye. Like seeing gymnasts like Dan Berridge just throwing triple somersaults, and something I wouldn't be able to do easily on trampoline without having to nail all the basics properly. And yeah, I fell in love instantly, really.
That's cool. It's strange because it would be intuitive to think maybe that there's a lot that you could do on the bigger trampoline that you couldn't do on the mini trampoline, but actually I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Yeah, a lot of the time you may be able to physically do it, but it will be scored down because there's more execution judges, there's more judges judging you on how neat your moves are on a trampoline, whereas on DMT it's about how difficult. And that's the most important thing on DMT, and that's what I enjoy, just trying difficult stuff.
Would you say that it helps the sport in terms of creating that sort of visual thing for the viewers?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I think it's a lot more interesting watching more flips than tighter, like kick-outs and stuff.
Yeah, so you'd rather see a more explosive technique performed, perhaps maybe not quite as polished as maybe some of the more sort of typical trampoline ones.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So then your first foray into gymnastics, obviously starting out on floor and vault and then moving into trampoline. And can you remember your first sort of adjustment period when you first started doing DMT?
Yeah, I mean, so I was training one club for trampolining. I was training at Camden for trampolining, and for DMT, a place in Ealing called London DMT Academy. So it was quite the commute. My parents ferrying me around different parts of London, but yeah, I was enjoying it. And then I transitioned everything to London Trampoline, and that was good because it didn't mean I was having to go back and forth.
I can imagine the parents were happy with that one.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time of noticing that you had a real talent for it?
Yeah, it was my first competition. I'd been doing DMT for 6 months. I went to a National League event, and I came first on my first one.
Wow.
And that was when I realised, like, this could be good. This could be fun.
Do you remember what that was like for your parents and things? It must be it'd be a difficult sell for my parents probably to say I want to be a gymnast.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they would have supported me, but obviously until you get that first goal place and they sort of realise, oh wow, you really can do this.
I think that was a real proving point, really. It helped towards my career, helped them push me, because I definitely couldn't have pushed myself this much.
How old were you at that point?
I was maybe 10 or 11, that sort of age.
So how was it being, obviously, it's a tumultuous time for everyone. They're picking the secondary schools, they've got a lot of the big decisions to make, and you've also got this big gymnastics thing going on. How was that?
I mean, gymnastics was my real focus. It's a good job my mum pushed me through school as well. That was a real struggle for me, just focusing in class. I was a very hyper kid, but I did manage it all. And then a few years later I moved school again. I moved to Bournemouth, which is quite a way away, but I think DMT really helped because it gave me a another place where I could make friends, I could have fun.
So did you change gymnastics club at that point?
Yeah, at about in year 9. So
Yeah, year 9's a difficult time probably to move. How much did you really find yourself throwing yourself into your gymnastics work, and how was that with sort of, obviously then you're entering GCSE times and things like that?
Yeah, well, it's a good job I was in that catchment of students which didn't actually have to do GCSEs because of COVID.
Oh wow.
So because I was focusing so hard on gymnastics, I may not have got what I wanted in my GCSEs, but I was pretty lucky to get off of them.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So in terms of where you're at the moment with it, I know that you're sort of in between competitions at the moment. What's going on?
Well, I've just come back from injury. I landed on my head many times, and just got back into training. About 3 sessions in, 3 weeks out from competition.
Right.
I'm just following my coach's program. I know he knows what I'm doing, or he knows what to do, so I'm just following that. Just got back onto the trampoline. Did my passes the other day, which is good sign. But yeah, just getting stronger again.
So you kind of glossed over it there. You landed on your head too many times.
Yeah.
Do you land on your head a lot in this sort of pursuit?
Yeah. So especially with DMT, it's a very quick thing. You're only doing 2 skills, so a lot can go wrong. And it's a very narrow piece of equipment. So if your arms are sort of a little bit to the side, that will throw you off the trampoline. You have to get caught by a coach. So there's a competition this year at one of the national qualifiers. I did a triple front half and then attempted a triple back off of it and came back onto the trampoline, landed on my head, and I sprained 5 parts of my back.
Oh wow.
But sort of trained through it, just ignored it,
Just
and it
pushed
sort
through.
of progressed worse and worse. I had to take time off.
So with an injury like that, well, first of all, for the run, so can you talk us through each stage of sort of the run itself?
Yeah, so on a pass like that, you have to run as fast as you can because you need to try and gain as much height. But it's all about the takeoff of the first skill. Your arms need to be straight up. If they're slightly forward, you're going to go off the whole trampoline. If they're slightly back, you're going to go back off the trampoline. So they need to be just right. And then it was the takeoff of the second skill. I wasn't engaged in my core enough, so I let my pelvis tilt forwards, and it just meant I couldn't gain the rotation I needed.
So you're looking for a triple backflip at this point?
Yeah, looking for a triple back, and yeah, I shouldn't have gone for it, but I knew I needed it because I'd already messed up on the previous pass. So I went for it, but because my hip slipped, I just couldn't get the rotation I needed. Just landed straight back onto my head.
Wow.
And yeah.
I can imagine that's because of how much sort of momentum you've generated, how much force. I can imagine that's so painful.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, the most painful part was my knee and my eye, because I kneed myself in the head.
Oh, no.
I didn't really realise about what was going on in my back. It wasn't until the next few days I was sort of struggling to function.
Yeah, I see. And if you were to get an injury like that again, do you think you would try and push through it in the same way?
I think I'd take a much different approach. It was one thing I realised towards the end of the recovery processes. So I live pretty close to the sea, and I could have been swimming in the sea all summer, but I sort of deemed myself injured, so didn't. But the swimming was the best part, because the cold and the movement that your body's going through, it really helped. So I think that was what I would have done.
Makes sense. Do you feel like you've taken a lot of the aspects of gymnastics and your approach to it into other parts of your life?
Definitely. So the discipline you need in gymnastics, just to succeed well, is it's pretty important if you put it into your daily routine, like getting up on time, doing all your washing, doing all your chores. If you take that discipline from gymnastics and input it into your daily routine, you can save so much time. You can then have your own freedom, have more time for yourself.
Would you say you've made a lot of sacrifices for your sport?
Definitely. So a lot of the time when my friends are going out having fun, I've had to go to a competition or train, but I think it's all worth it. Definitely.
Would you say it's made you a better person?
Yeah. Because I've been training around kids all my life. It's been children all around, so more compassionate maybe, more understanding, and yeah, I think I've been exposed to more as well. So.
What keeps you motivated?
I think it's the fun I know I can have through it, and the doors it can open through gymnastics. I can what I want to be is a stuntman or a circus performer, and as long as I keep pursuing gymnastics, it should open those doors, because it's the same principles, just in different areas.
Yeah, learning to fall properly, obviously,
yeah.
quite key.
Exactly.
Amongst that, do you have somebody that you really looked up to in your sport?
So there's a gymnast called Damien Walters. He was a tumbler. He was a really good tumbler, and then he became a stuntman and circus performer. So I think that's probably who. It's the sort of route I want to go down. So
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there anything about his personality? I'm not aware of him personally.
He just, I don't know. He just seems like he knew what to do, and sort of pushed me. I realised, oh wait, I can do that now, and I sort of didn't know where I was going with gymnastics until I found his YouTube channel, doing all these stunts and having fun.
Do you think that that's something that maybe you could do maybe for the younger generation as you get older? Obviously you're very young now, but
for sure. I mean, it would be great to train that style from a young age, because I've only just gotten into it now. It's sort of like the unconventional gymnastics, but using gymnastics elements to have fun, and not just be exactly neat, but yeah, maybe flip over a bench and sit on it, or stuff like that.
How much chance do you get to express yourself within your gymnastics?
I mean, there's not a lot, but because in gymnastics you can only go backwards or forwards, whereas in real life you can go sideways, that way, on all different axes, but it still gives me a lot. There's also style in gymnastics, so you can have your own style. Maybe you twist like this, maybe like that. I like to twist sort of like flat with my arms by my sides, because I think it looks cooler that way. So that's one aspect that you can express yourself.
That's really cool. Is there anybody you looked up to maybe outside of your sport? Anyone who's inspired you or something like that? Maybe it could be someone from your life, or maybe someone from a different sport.
Well, I'd say my dad's pretty cool. He's got quite a lot of discipline. He can do what he choose to do something when he wants to, or not do it for months, that sort of thing, and it's made me realise that discipline is very important.
Of course. Do you have a favourite sporting quote?
I say again, it's not a quote, but discipline, it really, I think that's a really important factor. Like, discipline trumps all, really. As long as you've got discipline, then you can succeed very well.
They say, don't they, we all have days where we're unmotivated, but that's when you have to rely on being disciplined.
Exactly, yeah, for sure.
In terms of when you compete and things like that, we speak to a lot of different athletes who have a different approach to how they prepare for competing. Some like to listen to music to hype themselves up. Some listen to music to try and calm themselves down because they're already too hyped up. How do you deal with that?
I mean, I try. So when I'm getting ready in the morning, morning of the competition, I'd listen to some music, getting ready, getting changed in the changing rooms. But after that, I sort of just want to talk. I think talking distracts me. Talking, it just makes me feel normal again. It's not like I'm competing. It's just like it's just a regular day. It's just like training. I think I just try and make it as normal to training as possible, because training is where it goes best.
Makes sense, yeah. And do you have any advice for a young person who's maybe looking to start a career in sport and then maybe gymnastics more specifically?
So just go for it. Listen to your coaches. They always know best. Something I've discovered. Yeah.
Excellent. And have you got any big aspirations for the future? Obviously, you said before you want to be a stuntman. What sort of thing are you looking for?
Yeah, I think performing in general. So I've got a performance gig in December where I'll be doing some trapeze work and sword fighting.
Wow.
So I think just that route is sort of where I want to go down, because in this sport I can't make much money, whereas I need to be able to make money to live right. So yeah, performing. I don't really mind which way it goes, just as long as it's fun. I just want to have a fun time.
Yeah, I think if you've got that attitude, you'll go far, definitely. Yeah. Well, it's been great speaking to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. And thank you, everybody at home, for joining us. And we'll see you next time for some more Sports for Champions fun. See ya.
Bye.
Hi guys, hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, be sure to leave us a like and a subscribe, and check out all our other videos for some more great interviews and content. Bye.